The family says they are very uncomfortable with your visits.
No.
And after your visit, Besigye disappears. Where is Besigye?
By the way, when you say the family, it depends on who. Like the caretakers who were looking after Besigye in Mulago. I had an engagement, a discussion with them. And they were very happy with my visit. It's only Honorable Winnie Byanyima who chose to politicize the visit. But it's not true that the family is unhappy. Even in Ruzira, when I visited him, I found when he was asking the prison authorities to be allowed to go to a clinic of his choice. And the authorities were saying, no, you must utilize the government facilities. It is me who broke that argument and said, no, Dr. Besigye is not a convict. He's just on remand. He should be free to access a health facility of his choice. And his doctors were there. And I persuaded the prison authorities. And I actually told them I would not leave Ruzira until when he has gone to a medical facility of his choice. And that's how he went.
We miss you in national guidance, by the way.
I still guide from wherever I am.
Do you feel a bit of relief that you're out?
No. Health is even much more busier than the Ministry of International Guidance. But we can always guide. Like I'm guiding that there's nothing wrong visiting a patient, irrespective of the profile of that patient. So it is still guidance.
What informed your rush to declare Uganda Ebola-free before WHO made its pronouncement? Chris Baryomunsi, good to have you, and a very good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning, Simon. Good morning, viewers. I am happy to be back here.
Yes.
In the morning, please.
How are you fitting into the ministry?
Well, I think I'm fitting in well because it's not my first time to be there. Actually, my first appointment as a minister was in health, as a Minister of State for Health in charge of general duties. But I was there briefly for slightly more than a year. And then toward the other ministries, so I am back. I am back in the ministry, and we're trying to do our best to streamline the delivery of health care in this country.
Okay, you got in at a time where the Ebola was headlining, and now there is the issue of medical interns, but we'll get into that later.
Yes.
The question remains, how uncharitable was it for a minister who is a medical doctor, very conversant with ethics, visiting a patient who didn't want you to see him? That's Besigye.
Has Besigye said that? Well, I know my visit raised some sort of storm, especially after his wife's tweet saying I was uninvited. I don't think patients invite visitors. Well, Dr. Besigye has been serving in prison for some time, and if you recall, I one time visited him in Ruzira, and again there was an uproar from those who, I don't want to say idlers, but there are those who always interpret their own way things which happen. That was the time when he had gone on a hunger strike, and I actually went and told him, please, you eat your food. And shortly after, actually, he resumed his business.
You as who?
Me as I was Minister of ICT and National Guidance then. But you know also Dr. Besigye comes from my own home area. Actually, our homes are adjacent to each other. They are adjacent hills. I am the other side of Chinchizi, this side of Rukunjiri. But he's a Ugandan, and he belongs to all of us. And I had a feeling for him because he was in the prison, so I visited him. So this time around, we all know that he collapsed in court, and he was admitted in Mulago hospital. I told the people in Rukunjiri the other day that my understanding of my brief as a Minister of Health is that I am in charge of the health of all Ugandans, irrespective of your political beliefs. I am not a Minister of Health for NRM people only. I am a Minister of Health I am supposed to ensure that every Ugandan is healthy. So I chose on my own to pay a visit to Mulago Hospital and check on him. And indeed, I accessed him in his hospital room.
Forcefully?
No.
The wife says you were uninvited.
No, she likes politics. Of course, everything she wants to take it political. That's her own right. But to visit a patient, you do not need an invitation.
Really?
Yes, you do not need an invitation. Secondly, I am a minister of health.
Are you alive to the ethics, medical ethics?
Not only alive, but I practiced medicine. I passed medical ethics as a subject. There was nothing unethical about it. A minister of health visiting a patient, how unethical is it? And of course, I went through the... So you expected me to get an invitation letter that come and visit? I have a right, and more so as a minister of health, to visit any patient in Uganda, even if it was who. So my visit was basically to check. In any case, even he was in Mulago hospital, and I have to ensure that he gets the best treatment. And I was getting regular briefs about his condition in the hospital. So there are those who prefer to read a lot of politics into some of these, but it was an innocent visit as a brother. You see, the problem is that the people have made the Ugandan politics extremely toxic. There are those who argue that because I am NRM, I should not visit somebody who is opposition. Why? He's a Ugandan. Dr. Besigye is a Ugandan, and he belongs to all of us, by the way. It's like the other day I was officiating at the son of Honorable Segona has published a book, a 16-year-old young man, and he invited me as a chief guest. And there were some people raising eyebrows. How can a government minister preside over a function of a son of a prominent opposition? I think we should abandon that kind of politics. Let me give you another example. The other day when the Parliament paying tribute to the late Besigye, I chose to take up one of his children. I actually pay fees for Honorable Besigye's child. But interestingly, when I was going to Masaka to be part of the team sending him off, I was advised that the foot soldiers will lynch you if they see you at his funeral. I don't know whether those who wanted to lynch me are doing anything to support the family of Besigye. So, me, I am not that part of politics.
Okay.
That because I am NRM, a government minister, I cannot sympathize with somebody else.
I want you to look at it at the moral side.
Yes.
The first time you visited Besigye, it caused an uproar. You went...
And justified, in my view.
Okay, in your view.
Yes.
I thought you had learned from the past.
No.
You went and it caused a big storm. Here you are back. The family says they are very uncomfortable with your visits.
No.
And after your visit, Besigye disappears. Where is Besigye?
By the way, when you say the family, it depends on who. Like the caretakers who were looking after Besigye in Mulago. I had an engagement, a discussion with them. And they were very happy with my visit. It's only Honorable Besigye who chose to politicize the visit. But it's not true that the family is unhappy. Even in Ruzira, when I visited him, I found when he was asking the prison authorities to be allowed to go to a clinic of his choice. And the authorities were saying, no, you must utilize the government facilities. It is me who broke that argument and said, no, Dr. Besigye is not a convict. He's just on remand. He should be free to access a health facility of his choice. And his doctors were there. And I persuaded the prison authorities. And I actually told them I would not leave Ruzira until when he has gone to a medical facility of his choice. And that's how he went. So it is not true that my visits are in bad faith. They add value. Now, the issue of Mulago, my visit had nothing to do with his being discharged, because I was not the doctor attending to him. I saw people writing that I went there to direct or instruct the Mulago hospital to discharge him. Far from the truth. Actually, I tweeted saying that is an insult to the consultant doctors who were looking after him. When Dr. Besigye collapsed in court, he was rushed to Mulago. He actually first got admitted in the ICU, intensive care unit, He treated him, stabilized him, and then transferred him to the VVIP room in Mulago, where he received the best care. So it is a coincidence that when I visited, I think the doctors were also in the process of discharging him. And I was not privy to that information.
Okay.
So why would I want him discharged?
You're concerned about Besigye.
And you are saying, where is he? Of course, he went to Mulago as a prisoner. So definitely, people will say, why isn't he going to his home? That's a court process. So after discharge, definitely he had to be taken back to Ruzira. For him to leave Ruzira to go to his home is when he gets bail, and that's the work of the judiciary, the judge. Not me. I cannot order that he should just go home. Okay. I can advise, but I cannot order. If
you're truly concerned about Besigye,
yes,
do his whereabouts worry you? After your visit, Besigye was taken out of Ruzira, and nobody knows where he is at the moment.
I am not sure. I have not checked, but I expect him to be in Ruzira because he left Ruzira going to court. He gets a medical challenge in court. He is hospitalized, and the best of my knowledge, the doctors in Mulago officially discharged him because Mulago was not his place of abode that he would remain there. He was there for treatment. And the opinion of the doctors, he had recovered, and they discharged him. So I expect him to be back in Ruzira. And maybe he will appear in the court, and the court can process his bail. If you asked me whether should he be given bail, I would say yes, why not? But that's not my decision to give him bail. But if you're saying he's not in Ruzira, that extent I do not know if he has left Ruzira, but I expect him to be in Ruzira prison.
In what state was Besigye when you visited?
Well, when I visited, he had, for someone who had collapsed and was taken to ICU, he had greatly improved. And when I asked, he was able to take his meals. But of course, he was weak. He was still weak. When you spoke to him, he understood, but he chose to respond by gesturing. By gesturing. They could ask him, how are you feeling? He would say, he would give you an impression that he's feeling better. I asked him, are you taking your medicines? He says, yes. And when I said, I wish you quick recovery, he smiled and he appreciated. So contrary to what you are saying, that Dr. Besigye was not happy with my visit, at least the gestures he showed, he had no issue with that one. It's only those who want to do politics and politics.
Yeah, but you imagine the wife's account. The wife says, your visit was very uncharitable.
How? Of course, she just wanted a debate, and I do these visits not necessarily to please anybody. No.
You imposed yourself on Besigye again.
Well, people can say all sorts of things. I am used to those kind of insults. But for me, to visit somebody, a high-profile person like Besigye in a hospital, my heart is very clear. And I find no problem at all. You don't even know the kind of conversations we hold after that kind of visit with the authorities that they be. You don't know. Not everything has to be on camera. So, we Byanyima may misread those visits. That's our own issue. But I know the other members of the family, especially those who attended to him regularly, had no issue with my visit.
Why are your visits always misconstrued as ill-born?
By Byanyima
close relatives. Because you don't discount Byanyima. She's the wife.
No, Byanyima is a politician. So she would want to use every opportunity to politicize some of these issues. But people should not read much into them. And they had good faith. So why should visiting a patient
against the will of the patient?
Which will? No.
Ethically speaking.
Dr. Besigye has never complained that I visited him. Has he? He has not. It is largely his wife. That one is just playing politics.
The wife officially is a caretaker to the husband.
So?
The wife says You were uninvited and unwelcome.
Unwelcome. I was not visiting her. I was visiting Dr. Besigye. And Dr. Besigye, by the way, doesn't belong to his wife alone. He belongs to all of us. So you cannot claim that he's your own, and therefore you should choose who visits him and who doesn't. No, you don't. And more so, a minister of health checking on a patient who is receiving health care in the country where I'm a minister. There's nothing wrong with that one.
No, but when people read sinister motives in your visit,
okay,
don't you
that's
think,
why I'm here to explain.
Okay, don't you think it's wise for you to stay off?
No.
Would you dare visit Besigye again after the backlash?
Absolutely. I walk with my head high. I would visit him, especially if my visit can add value to his condition.
I thought it's made it more complex because now the family is linking Besigye's disappearance on Baryomunsi.
Disappearance from where?
From hospital.
No, it's not a disappearance. You see, first of all, to be fair, did you expect Dr. Besigye to remain in Mulago for the rest of his life? He was in Mulago mainly to get treatment. And if in the opinion of the doctors who are attending to him, they had done their best and he would now continue outside the hospital, usually they discharge you. Are you saying all the patients who go to Mulago remain there until forever? No. When the doctors are satisfied that they have now stabilized you, they can discharge you. So he was discharged like any other patient. And my expectation that when he's discharged, he's taken back to Ruzira because that's where he had come from.
Okay. Are you mindful of the public perception that it is Baryomunsi who is attention-seeking? No wonder. He's all over the place. Now he's also conducting on-spot visits in hospitals in the wee hours of the night and making all manner of conclusions on the state of health facilities.
Well, I do not sell ice cream to please everybody. Please everybody. I have been in the public life for some time. I don't need the cameras. It is the cameras which follow me. So I do not do things for attention seeking or for the camera. I am strong enough to attract publicity without seeking for it. That's why when I visit, it becomes an issue.
Yeah, because it turns out into a stunt.
No,
Baryomunsi is visiting.
Now,
what if you had not even tweeted about it? What was so significant about you tweeting that I've visited Besigye?
Yes. And the most important part in that tweet was that he's steadily recuperating. Recuperating means he's recovering. And there was a press conference on that day by PFF members who were lying to the public that Dr. Besigye is still in the ICU, intensive care unit. He needs emergency evacuation out of the country. And as a Minister of Health, it is also my responsibility to assure the country that that is not true. Yes, he's still sick, still hospitalized, but he's steadily recovering. And that was the situation. So I have a public duty also to inform the public as a Minister of Health. So to me, there is nothing I am shy about. I walk with my head high because my conscience is very clear that the visits are not in the bad face. I don't visit to harm Dr. Besigye. Why should I? Oh, if you are saying, like they were insinuating I ordered Mulago, I don't have to visit Mulago to order them on anything. I don't have to physically visit. If it is true that I was meant to order them to release him, I can order even when I'm at home or when I'm in office. So,
politics aside, and
yes.
medically speaking, do you realize how awkward you look when you impose yourself as a guest? Medically speaking,
so how?
Is it right?
What do you mean?
Is it right to visit a very unconscious
who was
patient?
unconscious? Yes, even unconscious patients can be visited.
Yes.
Even somebody who is in intensive care unit can be visited. Visiting a patient, in my view, is an innocent issue. Unless if you are saying you visit with ill intentions, in which case you should prove that I have ill intentions when I visit.
Prove that you're innocent.
Okay, what harm did I cause by visiting? Both when he was in Ruzira and when... But this is the man from my area. I think what disturbs people is that they are just bent on this adversarial politics, this toxic politics, that because I'm a government minister, because I am NRM, I should have nothing to do with somebody opposition. I say no. I am made of a different material. Simply because somebody is opposition does not mean he is my enemy. Does not mean I should wish him bad.
You burnt your fingers on the first visit.
Which fingers? My fingers are very clean. Do you see any scars? They are not burnt.
Okay, you got a backlash on the first visit.
From a section of Uganda.
And it should have taught you a lesson that Besigye doesn't need you.
Well, that is your view and the views of other people. But sometimes I don't necessarily follow what others think. I follow my conscience. My conscience tells me it's a good thing to visit somebody who is in prison. Rather in prison, to visit somebody who is sick. Even that's what Jesus advises us to do. I am a Christian. So, whether you speak what, whether you criticize me, whether you wish me wrong, okay, as long as my conscience tells me this is right.
Do the insinuations about your visit speak to your conscience at all? Absolutely.
And they energize me. They energize me. Because for me, I feel my conscience very clear that I had that moral urge to pay a visit to Dr. Besigye. In any case, I was not visiting for a wrong reason or with ill will, just to visit him like we visit other patients. And that one clarifies my mind. So, I sometimes don't care whether people say what
I want us to...
So I don't visit to please anybody. I visit to please my conscience. So as long as my conscience is very clear, I am settled.
I want us to move away from the fuss about your visit to Besigye to your new fashion of work. It wasn't known of Baryomunsi to be erratic, jumping from one place to the other. Are you inspired by the Balaam style of work?
No,
that you are also doing night patrols on hospitals?
First of all, I am a medical doctor and I have practiced medicine. And what you need to appreciate is that the sickness and disease has no calendar, that someone will fall sick only during the day. So my style of work is that I visit hospitals anytime, during the day, even during the night when I can get time.
With cameras?
No, not necessarily. Like I said, at times I visit, then you find the cameras following me. Information leaks. There's a minister here in Mbarara, then the cameras come. But I don't do it for the cameras. I do not. The reason why I visit health facilities, particularly those situations when I do on-spot assessments, is to check the delivery of health services, especially at night. Because there can be a tendency where health workers just go and abandon health facilities. So I check any time of the day. There are those which I visit during the day, but not all my visits are publicized. I have visited many more hospitals than you are quoting, but some of them we don't even tweet, we just keep quiet. But the intention is to check the health facilities so that I appreciate the good things that are being done, but also take note of the gaps and the challenges and try to fix them.
Are you cognizant of the discomfort and the unprofessionalism that comes with you stepping into wards with cameras deep in the night?
Not in the night. Of course, when you visit, you must be conscious of the privacy of the patients. And if you have watched where I have been, I do not intrude into the privacy of the patients. I even chase away people who have cameras. I think like in Barara where I was moving around, they saw the camera, people actually even stopped and said, no, get away, I will do an interview. Because they learned of my visit in Barara. In Kabale, I visited and then just did an interview the following day. I am very conscious. I'm a professional medical doctor. I know the do's and the don'ts and so forth. Have you, for instance, where I visited, seen the privacy of a patient exposed in my presence? No, I don't. Of course, there are those who have been saying, why are you not arresting people like the ministers of local government are doing? I said, no. The ministers of local government, for them, their campaign is expose the corrupt. That is the theme of their visits. My visits are not necessarily to expose the corrupt, but to assess the situation as is in the hospitals with an aim of rectifying whatever gaps that I may find. It will be an example. When I went to Barara, when I went to the labor ward, if you remember the interviews the health workers gave, the midwife on duty said they have a shortage of delivery beds. And I can tell you, we have now sent additional delivery beds to Barara. I don't have to publicize it to come here today. We are sending beds. So there are things which we fix after my visit. When I went to Kabul, I found the X-ray machine was not functioning, and now we are fixing it. So for me, my intention...
So you were a fixer?
Yes, a fixer without necessarily going public into whatever.
Is this sustainable in the short and long run? Can you be running all over the country in that fashion?
Well, of course I have a team in the Ministry of Health. I may not run to every health center, but if I pick randomly different health facilities, it gives me a picture of what goes on.
But wherever you've been, yes, you sound rather astonished.
Not necessarily.
It gives an impression that
I have been balanced.
There is a big dysfunction.
No. I have been balanced. When I report, of course, not everything I report in the media. I make reports which are written, which we share in the Ministry of Health. For instance, Kabale. You saw my report on Kabale, which again I was rebuked by a section of the public when I said, Kabale, despite the challenges, when I visited, they were functioning better. I found health workers on duty. I found, for instance, the CT scan working. There is a patient who was brought there at 1 a.m. He had got an accident in the Kabale town. He was worked on. Actually, one of the pictures I tweeted, I was in that room where there is the CT scan. And I said, the hospital is clean, but there are these challenges of X-ray, of this. They don't charge patients. They don't extort money from patients, from what I assessed. They have put signposts all over that services are free. Even those where you pay, like the CT scan, the amounts are displayed. And if you are extremely poor, there is a system to exempt you and waive off. So I found the hospital.
Are these the facilities that you're talking about?
Organized. Yeah, this was Kabale. So I am balanced.
With torn beds, cracked walls.
So why wouldn't you want me to see that situation as a minister so that we see how to rectify those situations?
Yeah, but here is the
This
irony.
was the health center in Ruchiga. Because the member of parliament, Dr. Sylvia Lenit, raised it on the floor that one of the buildings had collapsed. So I promised on the floor of parliament to send a team, but my team was delaying. I went there myself in Ruchiga, Kashambia. So you now want to condemn me?
No, I'm not condemning you. I'm just interrogating your style of work.
You are casting my views in bad light.
It's not typical of Baryomunsi.
You are casting. Why are you saying it's not typical?
Has there been a shift from the Baryomunsi of then, who would sit to direct policy?
I was a minister of ICT.
Play the oversight role, be more hands-on, more executive.
No, it depends where you were working. Previously, I was a minister of information, and I'm sure I was a regular guest here to inform the public. And now I am minister of health. I don't have to sit in office day in, day out. Health care is provided out there in the countryside. I have to be there to witness the first-hand account.
How much insight have your visits given on the decaying state of healthcare in Uganda?
No, it's not decaying. Don't just make conclusions because of that health facility you have seen. There are hospitals which look good, which have been renovated, which are new, and services are being given. But there are also challenges which are there. And you can't describe the healthcare system as decayed in Uganda. No. The health
it's
workers,
challenged.
like any other. But we are on earth, not in heaven. So you will definitely find challenges. And the reason why we are in leadership is to address those challenges. And you can't appreciate the challenges in healthcare by simply sitting in the office and reading reports. You also need to get on the ground and see with your own eyes, interact with the patients. Like when I was in Mbarara, I was interviewing the patients about drugs. Do you receive the drugs when the doctor has prescribed? And the majority of them were saying, no, we buy the drugs. That's a significant finding for me. And I engaged the authorities. I have put investigations to find out what exactly is the story with the drugs. I went to Mbarara again about a week or so. I was the chief guest at Ruharo at the Anglican Church. And a woman after church service came to me and said, I want to thank you for the visit. I said, why? I was in Mbarara 2 days ago. They prescribed for me 4 different drugs, and all of them were given to me. And I think it's because you had visited. So these visits also have impact.
Short term.
No, short, medium, and long term, because when I visit a hospital like Mbarara or Kabale and anywhere else I have been, Itojo, I make reports, which reports we discuss in the Ministry of Health. I can tell you even after here, we have a senior top management meeting in the Ministry of Health where we discuss these issues. And I ask them, how come in Kabale Hospital an X-ray machine broke down and it has taken a month without it being repaired? Because that's supervision. That's why I said, for me, it is support supervision. Support supervision. You take note of the positive things, you identify the challenges, you see how to fix them.
I'm reading something quite significant.
Yes.
That it takes Baryomunsi to visit a hospital to get things done.
No.
So does that suggest that the systems are down?
No. There are supervisions.
First work on the systems.
There are supervisions which are done by our technical teams. Maybe the difference that for us, the way we work in the Ministry of Health, not everything goes into the media. There are teams led by the PS, by Director General Health Services, our commissioners, director. They visit, and they work with the district authorities. They visit hospitals. They make reports, which reports are discussed in the ministry. So mine is supplementary, is additional as a minister, as a political leader, to also get acquainted with what is on the ground.
I want to take you back to that particular footage of a healthcare facility that had cracked, whose walls had cracked, the beds were looking pathetic. How did the hospital get to that extent?
This is a health center 3 at the level of Gomborora and Kashambia sub-county in Ruchiga. And they told me, I think, the last time the structures were put together was 25 years ago. So the blame, I put it on the local government, because they are supposed to plan for these structures. Because the health center 3, a district hospital, the health center, those are under local governments. And they should have planned, captured the state of the health facility in the district plans, and then those plans reach us, and then we
But there is a
resources.
DHO. How much liability does it take?
I actually intended to have meetings with the DHOs. I'm going to do 4 regional meetings with the district health officers, Central, Northern, Eastern, Western, 3 plus the CAOs, and maybe other additional officers, depending on the budget that I may mobilize, to discuss with them how decentralized health services are functioning. I have issues with the way decentralized health services are running, like what you see. And we hope we shall have a meaningful engagement with a view of proposing changes in the way decentralization works. The question is, are the district health officers superintending over health care in their districts? Maybe yes, maybe not. Those are the issues which I'm going to discuss. So I don't want you to condemn me that I am visiting these health facilities.
No, I'm not condemning you, but
and where I find,
curious.
and I am just objective where I find things bad like that, the condition of that health center, I don't have to hide. That's why I allow the cameras. You film it. These are the challenges we face.
Okay.
So that when I go on the floor of parliament and ask for additional resources, they should know these resources are meant to improve the kind of health services
You were
we provide.
once a state minister for health.
Yes.
Has there been a paradigm shift in healthcare in the country? Are things getting worse than they were when you were state minister?
No, I think things are getting better.
But the picture you're depicting is worse.
Not really. No. Maybe the journalists focus on the challenges and negative things. Or maybe it's our weakness, we're not bringing out the positive part. But it's not true that the health services are getting worse. They have great improvements. Maybe next time I will visit a hospital which is shining, and then it is also beamed in the cameras for you to see. The emphasis sometimes is on the challenging things so that we can fix them. But there are ways in which you can assess whether things have been improving or not. There are those issues which are clear to the naked eye. The infrastructure, many hospitals have been put in place, health center fours, doctors have been taken to as low as health center 4 at the county level. There are those positive things. And actually, when we measure through studies, the findings are that the indicators are improving in many areas, whether you talk of mortality rates, whether you talk of people accessing services. But one of the challenges is the increase in the population growth.
Okay.
The population is increasing, and sometimes that population increase masks some of the achievements which are on record.
Can you stop these PR stunts and get to the real gist of the problems in the healthcare? The doctor-to-patient ratio remains a big question. The motivation of health officials remains a big question. Why don't you just sit down and fix these systems before you get to...
No, but we do things concurrently. When you visit and you appreciate the shortage of health workers, the understaffing, then it gives you a clear sense of what is going on, and you are able to fix them. I don't think that approach would work, that you just sit in the office, fix these things, and keep
First
trying.
fix from the top.
Yeah, we are fixing.
And then get down to see whether the system is
No, we
working.
do them simultaneously. You fix, you assess, and when you visit, your observations inform you better, and then you are able to make correct decisions, correct policy changes. Like when you visit and find there are no health workers, there's absenteeism. For instance, I can tell you, we are going to pronounce ourselves on major policy reforms on doctors on the question of dual employment. If you are employed as a consultant doctor in Mulago Hospital, should we allow you to run a private clinic, or you should choose? Or if we allow you to run a private clinic, you tell us how many hours you will give government and how many hours you will give private services. Because even this shortage of health workers, to a large extent, is just artificial. You will find you have a senior doctor in Mbarara, in Mulago, in Kabale, but he spends probably 90% of the time in his private clinic, and he cheats government. You will find a consultant doctor in Mulago Hospital also has an administrative position in one of the private universities, and he gives 80 to 90% of the time to the private university, and he cheats the hospital. These are things we are going to confront. And when you visit and find in Mbarara, you tour the whole hospital, there is no senior doctor on duty. You check, this is a hospital with the consultants, with the teaching.
I think you're speaking to the obvious. Absenteeism of doctors is a perennial problem.
And we have to address it. We have to address it.
Then
the reason why, for instance, there is this issue of interns being paid, and the perception that these interns who run these referral hospitals, which is not necessarily correct, but because the consultants, the senior doctors, spend more time in their private clinics, they abandon the government facilities. So now, as the minister in charge of health, we have to confront that issue.
Well, we want to take a very short break, and when we return, the Honorable Minister will be speaking out on the stalemate over medical interns. Government made another pronouncement that it is only interns in government universities who will be facilitated for their internship. How much storm or how better can government negotiate or navigate the current storm about interns? But remember, you have a choice on what to watch, and MTN TV on AfroMobile is giving you that opportunity. MTN TV by AfroMobile enables you to watch from anywhere and at any time all that you need that is palatable to you. Just subscribe, log on to, or rather download the MTN TV by AfroMobile off Google or iOS, and kaboom, you'll be good to go. Good morning. We miss you in national guidance, by the way.
I still guide from wherever I am.
Do you feel a bit of relief that you're out?
No, health is even much more busier than the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance. But we can always guide. Like I'm guiding that there's nothing wrong visiting a patient, irrespective of the profile of that patient. So it is still guidance.
What informed your rush to declare Uganda Ebola-free before WHO made its pronouncement?
No, it is first of all the Ministry of Health, the government of Uganda, that announced an Ebola outbreak in Uganda, not WHO. So similarly, it is the Ministry of Health, the government of Uganda, to announce that Ebola is now, the outbreak is over. And we are guided by science. Usually when you have an outbreak of Ebola, when you discharge the last patient, then you count 2 cycles of an incubation period. The incubation period of Ebola is up to 21 days. Incubation period means when you get infected, how long does it take for the symptoms to play out, to come out? So the science guides that you take 2 cycles, which makes it 42 days. Probably what was confusing a section of people was the last patient whom we discharged was a Congolese national. Actually, I'm the one who officiated the discharge at the Mulago Treatment Center. When we went back, we looked at the science and found this gentleman hid himself in a cargo truck from Congo. He came like a cargo. And when he reached Kampala, he called, said, I am a patient of Ebola. I have Ebola, pick me. Then he was picked. So when we traced back, this gentleman had not exposed any person to the risk of Ebola. And the reason why you count from the last patient is that you take into consideration the possibility of this patient having exposed some people, and therefore you give them that time for symptoms to express themselves if somebody was exposed. So when we assessed, we found that this last patient had not been in contact with anybody in Uganda, so he posed no risk. And therefore, we took the option to consider, so we discounted him and took the second last patient. And that's how the days of announcing came a little bit earlier than maybe what some people expected. But it was science, because it's not just merely saying, we take the last patient, but you take the last patient because you have suspicion that he could have exposed some people to this illness, and therefore you give it time for that illness to express itself. But in our view, it was the second last patient who could have exposed Uganda. So we counted the 42 days from that second last patient.
Does the mutiness of World Health Organization on your announcement raise eyebrows?
Have they opposed it?
No, but
No.
By now they would have... common sense prevails that
You know,
by now they would be declaring Uganda Ebola-free. to ease travel, to lessen the cost that the country is going through.
So by the time I made a public pronouncement on behalf of the Minister of Health, I was sure that there is nobody in Uganda who was probably incubating with Ebola. Nobody. That nobody was at risk of this Ebola. That's when I announced. We are not reckless. We are scientists.
When Uganda announced that
Yes.
the country had been hit by Ebola,
Yes.
it took minutes for the World Health Organization to come out and say, yes, there is Ebola in Uganda.
Yes.
When you announced that the country is Ebola free, World Health Organization went mute.
But it is not the World Health Organization in charge of the health of Ugandans. We are, as Ministry of Health. And they have not opposed that pronouncement.
Yeah, but their silence is telling.
What do you want them to say? Say the Minister of Health.
Declare Uganda Ebola free. So people
But
can
that's
travel.
not even the correct statement. It is the end of the outbreak that we declared. Because Ebola can easily enter any time. So what I declared was the end of the 2026 Ebola outbreak.
So is Uganda Ebola free or not yet?
It is, in the sense that the outbreak which we announced is over. But we urge the Ugandans to remain fully alert because in Congo, just across, it is under fire. Congo is under fire in terms of Ebola transmission. And we still have a big risk of getting other cases from Congo. But the outbreak which we had announced, we announced the end of that outbreak. And there's no contradiction at all, whether you keep listening to WHO saying anything or not, but you have not heard WHO contradict what we announced, because we work with the WHO, we're always at the meetings, they are aware, and as far as I know, they are satisfied with the pronouncements that we made. So
Yeah,
there should be no contradiction at all.
Okay.
There is no active transmission of Ebola disease anywhere in Uganda up to today.
Yeah, but have you sat down to assess the impact of your pronouncements? What if you had not gone so outspoken on the Ebola? Because you sounded so alarming when you were announcing that Uganda has been hit. It turned out that we didn't actually have. It wasn't as bad as you sounded.
In management of some of these notifiable diseases, viral hemorrhagic fever like Ebola, even one case constitutes an outbreak. One case like this. So we were right to announce, because we run a transparent system in terms of disease notification. And Uganda is accredited for that. That's why, if you recall, in the 80s, when the president came out to say Uganda has a challenge of HIV and AIDS, many other countries were condemning Uganda. How can you open up to that problem? Now tourists will not come, investors will not come, but we take the health of Ugandans as primary, then the rest can come. So it was important that we alert Ugandans.
Does it take all the hype? I mean, US had hantavirus, but they were quite measured on their announcements. Uganda suspected cases, and you were so outspoken.
Not suspected, we had confirmed a case of Ebola. This was a Congolese national who came in Uganda on the 10th of May, was hospitalized in Chibuli. The health workers didn't know, and he died on the 14th when the samples were taken. On the 15th of May, it was confirmed it was Ebola. And actually that patient infected some health workers. So you can choose to keep quiet so that the infection can spread.
No, you manage it. Do you have any lessons?
No, but how would we alert
from
people?
The way?
How would we alert people in
look,
Kanungu
US,
who are on the border with the
US
DRC?
managed the hantavirus. And it came at a time where US was hosting the World Cup. But somehow, somewhere, they didn't headline it as much as Uganda headlined Ebola.
Well, like I have said, each country has its style of doing things. For us, we choose to be open,
Raise alarms.
transparent, to be transparent. Let me give you an example. If, for instance, we had not stopped and postponed the Namugongo celebrations, Uganda Matters Day, because by the time we made that announcement to stop Namugongo, there were Congolese who were already trekking to Kampala, over 600 of them. If we had allowed them to come to Namugongo, today the story would be different in Uganda. It would be like Congo, where they have lost over 2,000 people. Now Ebola would be in all corners of the country. So some of those decisions are painful but necessary. The English say, to get an omelette, you must break the egg. So even when we say we are now announcing the end of the Ebola outbreak, it is because of those pronouncements where we alert Ugandans to be very vigilant, especially communities around the border with the DRC. So yes, the announcements may cause pain by having countries impose travel restrictions, by limiting the number of tourists and visitors coming, but that's temporary. Eventually, that will open up and they will come. What is primarily is for us to save the lives of Ugandans, and we don't feel any regrets for that.
Have you counted the cost of the time Uganda has been under a semi-lockdown?
Yes, we count the cost, but also we take note of the sicknesses and deaths which have been averted by that response against Ebola. So you look at it. Okay, what if we had kept quiet and we're now talking of thousands of people dying? Even if tourists are coming, money is coming, but Ugandans are dying. So you weigh the opportunity cost, which one is better? To bring in tourists, investors, they come, support our economy, but Ugandans die of Ebola, or we first stop the deaths of Uganda and the sickness. Then once we have stabilized it, then the dollars can come in. So for us as Minister of Health, we think what is primary is safeguard the lives of Ugandans first. Like Jesus said in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33, that seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. Then the rest will fall in line. So prevent illnesses and ensure Ugandans are healthy.
Okay.
Then the rest will fall in line.
You've heard accusations that Uganda loves overhyping health crisis because they bring in quite some money from donors.
Well, those are perceptions. But when I entered the ministry, we're also trying to streamline how we communicate. And I want to agree with you, we should not hype always, like you're saying, but we have a duty to notify and communicate about diseases which affect us. So we are doing a careful balancing. We pass on communication without injuring the economy in Uganda. We are managing that. But as health workers, we have that responsibility, which is even captured in the international health regulations under WHO, that when we get such illnesses, we must notify WHO, we must inform the country.
Well, as we get out of here, how are you navigating your standoff with doctors, the Uganda Medical Association, and other fellows in the medical world over the issue of interns?
Yes.
And how thorny is it?
It's a blunt thorn, not a piercing thorn. We shall go over it. Okay, time has run, but I wish you had me more time to explain this issue. The medical students who complete their training at university for a degree in medicine, pharmacy, nursing, are required to undertake 1 year of apprenticeship, that's internship, if they would like to practice their profession. Because you do internship so that you get a license, a practicing license. And when I joined the medical school over 30 years ago, we had that time Makerere University and Mbarara had also come on board. Today, because of the liberalization policy expanding the education landscape, we have over 10 universities offering medical education. So the numbers of doctors, pharmacists, nurses coming out, the numbers are big. And this is what informed the new health training policy 2025 that was championed by the Ministry of Education, where proposals were made regarding facilitation of the interns, because the interns have been receiving an allowance of 1.2 million Uganda shillings, then you tax it, you remove 200, the net of 1 million shillings. So a proposal was made, what is the, writing the interns, the pre-interns, was made that the internship be considered as a continuation of training, and to that extent, that the students who are under government sponsorship will continue to be sponsored by government in terms of their facilitation when they are doing internship, and that for those who were privately sponsored, those government provides meals. That's what has angered, if I can call it, the interns and sections of the public. I met these pre-interns, and we spent 6 hours in discussion explaining to them, but we also undertook to, as Minister of Health, to carry out consultation with a view of seeing whether we can modify some of these proposals. And we agreed with the interns, I hope they are watching, the pre-interns, because they are not yet interns. You become an intern when you report and sign a contract with the hospital management. That they report, the reporting period is between the 3rd and 14th of this month, as we carry out consultations.
Yeah, but there is a new twist that you're now going to cater for government students only, government interns.
No, this is what I've explained, that the policy was saying facilitation as it has been continues for those who were government sponsored at university, and then for those who were privately sponsored, government will only provide meals. And the cabinet requested the Ministry of Health to compute how much it would be to cater for the meals. That's what they call the difference between the government sponsored and the private. And I told the interns we are consulting, including with the president and the cabinet, and see whether we can. And there was a good will, but I warned them that if you take a confrontational approach, you might injure the goodwill which some of us
have.
But
you've heard how.
So
you've heard the stance of the Uganda Medical Association.
I think Uganda Medical Association, with due respect, their leaders are misleading these young people. They are misleading, and my plea would be for these young pre-interns to report and start internship as we sort out these issues. If you choose to use a confrontational approach, it may not yield results faster for you.
Is this the Baryomunsi who led the strike for you?
No, I didn't.
Back in the day.
No, I didn't. I didn't read the interns strike. But I'm just saying.
No. While you were at medical school, you led a strike.
No, I participated in an industrial action where we were demanding for better welfare for health workers in the country. It wasn't for interns.
Now, the issue of interns is on your table.
It is, yes.
And you seem to be approaching it with a lot of indifference.
No. Why? I have been very outspoken over this issue. And even at the risk of appearing to be going against the policy which was passed, I have told the interns we are going to engage over this issue. So take heart. You report for internship as we engage the authorities that be, so that we can rectify some of the areas where you have misgivings.
Why would you say that the Medical Association is misleading interns?
Yes, it is too outspoken, too confrontational. They are even questioning whether we are qualified enough as ministers to lead, saying all sorts of things, and we are watching.
Are you seeing any merit in their stance, in their...
No, you see, I have been one of those who have, like we're saying, fought for the better welfare of health workers. You need to watch and see which tactics you should use. Not all the time we must use confrontation, especially where the Minister of Health, and even many ministers, have a good will. The Vice President, Her Excellency Jessica Rupo, and the Prime Minister Robin Anabanja, they were on the floor of Parliament and assured the Parliament we shall look at this and see how we can have a meeting of minds. If you have the good will from government, what I expect the Medical Association to do would have to come and engage us and say, now, what do we do with this? But if you take a confrontational path, it may not deliver results for you, I tell you. So you should choose the tactics, the strategies, depending on how the dynamics are
Okay,
playing.
you want to say government doesn't have money to cater for all interns, right?
Yeah, it's a question of the budget.
Yeah, but
The numbers.
where are the priorities?
The priorities?
Yes, the Medical Association has come out to show you how there are quite a number of misaligned priorities where if there were budget cuts, it would enable the ministry to cater for medical interns, appreciating the criticality of the role of the interns.
Do they think we do not know the role of interns as Ministry of Health? Are you saying Uganda Medical Association understands better the criticality of interns compared to what we know? I can tell you, for instance, there's a time when hospitals that host interns run without interns for 5 months. But the evidence I have on my desk that mortality reduced in those hospitals, although the other senior doctors were overworked. So it is also not true. It's a fallacy to say these hospitals are run by interns. Right now,
the argument is that they contribute 70%.
No, that's not true. With the evidence, let somebody come and say we have carried out a study and the findings. We must be scientific. We must be methodical in what we say. People should not just play out words. For instance, right now, I'm not discrediting interns. They make a contribution. Right now, the interns who have been serving the internship have concluded and withdrawn. And the new ones are reporting. Have you had any hospital which has closed? Because the interns have left.
Can you do it?
Yes, we can. There are many hospitals. You see, interns are deployed in hospitals where they are consultants. And largely, these are regional referral hospitals and national referral hospitals. A few of the private, not-for-profit, like in Zambia, Rubaga, that's where interns are deployed. But like many of the general hospitals in the districts, health center force, they don't have consultants. We don't have interns there. Don't they run? So it is not true that the health service in Uganda is run by interns. That's not true. Probably what speaks to that is the absenteeism and the cheating that the government health workers do, because they spend most of the time in their private facilities, which normally we are going to fix.
Do you get a sense? Do you get a sense that?
And they have told the interns, we need them, yes, to do internship, but probably they need internship much more than the other.
Okay.
Because for you,
is government being ransomed by interns?
No, they are fighting for their welfare, which is okay, but I have told them, since there is goodwill on the side of government, you do not. Why? I am the one speaking as the Minister of Health.
If there was, this problem would be resolved by now. There is money. There is money.
Where?
There is money.
Invite me again and I tell you the priorities, like say in the health sector, where we need resources. And nobody is saying the interns should not be facilitated. We're not saying that. We are saying, well, this policy passed, but we can do more consultations. So they should be understanding that we mean well, the Ministry of Health means well, and there is good faith. But if you abuse the good faith, then you can delay resolution of some of these challenges.
I see a bit of negligence on the part of government in not prioritizing interns. Are you learning from what other countries are doing? How
let me give you an example.
Are pricing
Let me give you an example.
Interns?
In the past few years, because of the many numbers that come out of the medical schools, not all students who have qualified were being deployed for internship. But this time around, all those who have qualified and have been submitted by the universities, plus those who had been waiting, all of them have been deployed for internship. That is a fundamental shift from how it was.
But they're not being paid.
No,
you have deployed, but you're not facilitating.
No, they are being facilitated in a manner I have told you. That what the policy speaks to is that those who were government sponsored, the facilitation as it has been continues, And then for those who were privately sponsored, it will be a provision of meals. That's what the contestation is. And they are saying, treat us fairly, don't discriminate us. And I have told them, okay, we are consulting because I don't have the power to reverse what has been passed. If I had, probably I would make pronouncements. But I am carrying out consultations with the power that
I see a Baryomunsi whose hands are tied.
No, they are open.
Would you wish you had the latitude to really act as you ought to, as a medical doctor?
Yeah, but if a policy has been passed by cabinet,
your hands are tied.
Do you want to say I should be reckless and denounce it as an individual? No, that's not how the government works. We have collective responsibility. If a decision has been made at that level, then it is only fair that I have to consult.
Is there a possibility that this policy is going to be rescinded soon?
No. You see, the policy is very broad and has very many provisions. It's not a bad policy. Where the contestation is on that issue of the welfare, the allowances, which is a small section of the bigger, broader policy that speaks to training. And Ugandans should know that why all these changes, and maybe you should read that policy, is that we would want that when a medical student qualifies from university, does internship, and he or she is released, he should be a competent doctor. You should be comfortable appearing before this doctor. Because what has happened is that there are many medical schools that have come out, and we want to standardize and professionalize the training so that a doctor who comes out of Makerere Medical School, Busitema, Guru, King Caesar University, KIU, should be a competent doctor where every Ugandan should be comfortable. Like now, we are going to sit with the Ministry of Education and do strong regulation on the medical schools. When I was admitted in Makerere for medical training, we were less than 100. I think if I recall, we graduated when we were like 48, Makerere. But now there are these medical schools who are admitting huge numbers, and then you can't be sure of the quality of training. So this policy is speaking to ensuring standards, ensuring quality, ensuring competence, so that the doctors whom we graduate and do internship, they are competent doctors. Okay. You wouldn't want to appear...
In your appreciation, medical interns are doctors. They are not students, right? They are graduates.
Well, in some universities, they have already graduated. In some others, graduation is yet to happen. So when you have qualified, you have passed exams, the university has cleared you. Yes, you a doctor. Then
these are medical. These are medical doctors.
Yes.
Who have spent 5 years at university.
Yes.
And then you only want to reward them with lunch. How ridiculous can this be?
No. You see, it's a transition period. They are not government employees per se. Because when you start internship, you get a provisional practicing license. Because internship means you perfect your skills, you start practicing, but under the care and supervision of the seniors. That's what internship is. So that once the seniors are fully satisfied that you have the competence, you have the skills, you can be on your own, then the professional council can give you a license, a practicing license. And then you can go and be able to practice on your own. So it should be understood that way. It's not that the government is employing them the way they issue a medical officer with an appointment letter and post you in the Kambuga Hospital, Kagadi Hospital. No. This is a transition where you are transiting from studenthood to an actual...
No, these are medical doctors, right?
With their names...
Interns are medical doctors.
With their names written in the pencil.
Essentially.
With their names written in the pencil, in the sense that...
Sorry?
You have to be explained.
Interns are medical doctors with their names written in a pencil.
In terms of practicing medicine. Because you are not going to be issued or allowed to open a clinic, for instance, if you haven't done internship. So internship is given to these medical graduates for them to be assessed and for 1 year to be under the care of the superiors, the consultants, so that when they satisfy the consultants, you can now be given a practicing license and be on your own. You can go and run a hospital on your own. You can open a clinic. You can be employed by a government, by a hospital, and so forth. So it is that transitional period from being a student to being a fully registered doctor. Yes, so they are doctors because they have passed exams. They have graduated. Okay,
we're getting out of here, but do you find it dignifying that all you can give a doctor is portion and beans for lunch?
Who tells you that portion beans? You can also eat meat and rice and what? No, the contestation is on the facilitation. How do we facilitate this doctor to go through the 1 year of internship? And we're saying that's a legitimate question. Let's look at it. Are there some gaps in the policy which was passed, which we can revisit? And there is a good will.
So who is getting it wrong? Is it Uganda Medical Association?
Absolutely, the Uganda Medical Association.
Can there be a middle ground?
Which is reading bad faith on the side of government, and I'm saying no.
And you're also reading bad faith on their side. And
I'm saying this is an issue where you can sit constructively and engage and come with an amicable solution, but not to be show the power of might. That we are going to push you on the wall until when you yield. When you use that approach, sometimes, especially in the situation where there is goodwill from the other side, where if we're saying no, but we cannot revisit, then you would say, okay, let's push these guys. But where people are saying, okay, we can look at it, this provision, if there were inadequate consultations, we can revisit this issue. Then for you choose to use all sorts of insulting words and so forth. So my advice, again, is that our young doctors, pharmacy nurses, report for internship as we handle this issue. Because on the 15th, I am going to ask all the hospital directors to give me a report of those who will have reported for internship.
So there is an ultimatum?
No. They were given deployment instructions that you report between the 3rd and 14th.
If you don't?
If you don't, then we may consider you to have forfeited your internship placement. Because you see, much as there is this welfare question, but these doctors need the internship for them to complete their process and get licensed so that you can now go and practice medicine. So probably, without being rude, you can say these doctors need the internship more than even this fight about the facilitation.
And you can't do without them?
No, I'm not saying those are your words. These are our colleagues. These are our
people. Honorable Dr. Chris Baryomunsi, what a pleasure hosting you this morning. And the discussion definitely continues about the state of healthcare in the country. Remember, the new baby on the block is MTN TV by Afro Mobile. Just download the app and stay up to speed with every conversation of your choice. Good morning.